There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Well, by now you probably already heard that one of Canada's largest distributors in Importel has recently grown to include a West Canadian footprint. Yes, that's right. There is now an Importel East and West. And on today's session, we're going to be talking about the amazing and dynamic offering that Importel has to offer in the remote starter category. We're covering 3 different brands. We're hitting up Clifford. We're going to be talking about Fortin. And of course, we'll talk about IDATASTART as well with their in-house resident specialist, Mr. Jaren Hjelmeland. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, all about remote start at Importel. And it starts now. Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on today's session, we're going to explore the newly expanded and honestly quite the powerhouse of a distributor in Importel, because remote starter season is coming down not too far from now. In some parts of the country, it's starting to get a little bit more brisk in the mornings, and that means, of course, that business is about to kick off. So what better time than to be talking about this new formed establishment in Importel and the unique and dynamic offering that they have to be able to support you, the dealer, when it comes to remote start. To do so, I'm going to call upon the assistance of the 12-volt Viking himself. Yes, Jaren Hjelmeland, the brand manager at Importel. What's going on, Jaren?
How's it going, Ben?
Embrace that new moniker, buddy. It's sticking. I'm just letting you know. Embrace it.
It's going to stick around.
Oh, it definitely is. Absolutely. Listen, obviously, you're wearing the shirt. You got the logo above your head. This is a new chapter for yourself and your team. Jeff, of course, included in that. Importel West. Now you guys got footprints in both East and West. And with that comes a very, very complete offering in the remote starter category.
Yeah, for sure. New Importel employee, but I've been around the remote start game. Been under the dash installing for over 10 years now. So I'm definitely not new to the game, and as you can see, it's coming. This could be Edmonton this morning, I'm sure. Not quite, but...
You know, I make fun of you guys a lot, but I don't even wish that upon you. I mean, come on, man. we're in the beginning of September over here. But yeah, I mean, obviously, nobody more qualified than you, Jaren. I love it because you can talk as much about what's in the box as what's under the dash. And, 3 brands, which makes it kind of unique as an offering from a distribution standpoint.
Yeah, I think we got the best of everyone, right? Got 3 big brands to talk about, 3 great partners in the industry, and we're going to be ready to supply everyone remote starters across the country this year.
And that's pretty exciting because really, when you're talking to customers and dealers that call in, you do have the big 3, we'll call it. And that means more solutions and more diversity for customers and more flexibility, right? And that's the whole point. So you've kind of hand-selected who's presenting today. Why don't you give us a break of what we're going to be presenting today?
So we're going to be running down the big 3 brands. We got Clifford, which is a hugely important brand to us. We got Al Fontaine, the Vice President of Sales, with us. Fortin, we have JP with us today to talk a bit about Fortin, and then we're going to talk about ADS as well.
Wow. I don't think I've ever done a show that covers this much, but you're right. Big 3 it is, and we're going to get started right away without any further ado. Let's go ahead and bring in, again, the Vice President of Sales for Directed, or Vox, Mr. Al Fontaine. How are you doing, Al?
Hey, good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You know, Al, we were just bantering in the backstage, and I did not realize the rich and extended history you have with Directed. How long have you been with Directed now?
Actually started January 1st of 1995.
19. So that means in 2 years, it's a big anniversary.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Wow. And I'm going to go on the record and say, I don't know if anybody bleeds Directed more than Al Fontaine does. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Today, Al, we're going to get you to put your Clifford hat on. Okay, we're going to be talking about Clifford today. Why don't you give us a quick overview of the history of the Clifford name when it comes to remote starts, and why is this important for dealers to know?
Yeah, so anyway, Clifford was founded in 1976, okay? And it was actually the first Thatcham certified security system in the UK, okay? They still use Thatcham certification in Europe. And once again, it was the first one ever. So it's very important. And some of the characteristics of security systems that you still see today came from the Clifford brand.
Wow. I remember I've installed quite a few Cliffords in my own day, not to the extent of the guy to my left over here, but I've done my fair share of Cliffords especially. And that is interesting to know since 1976. Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Jaren, any questions for Mr. Al?
Yeah, Clifford sold a la carte, obviously. It can be confusing for some of the newer dealers. Can you kind of explain the reasoning behind doing it that way? What the benefits are?
So the way we looked at it was, what we wanted to be able to do was, first off, let's say from the business owner standpoint, have less boxes on the shelf, right? Always have a system that would be available and could be tailored to that consumer that came in the door. So for instance, on the DS4 platform, we have a DS4 low current, we have a DS4 high current. From there, a business owner could get by with having both those systems on the shelf. We actually have some retailers that will only choose to carry the DS4 Plus, because guess what? They could do any car with that platform, right? So, but then from there, all the consumers that come in, you kind of qualify them. Let's see, if they park close to their house, if they're buying, let's say they're buying a remote start, if they park close and can see their vehicle, you can get by with a system with maybe quarter-mile range. But if they park far away, work in an office or whatever, they need longer range. So we offer systems, remote controls that can perform up to 3 miles away. And then we also have a global control with our Smart Start product that can control it anywhere you have cell service. So that's the thing. So, when that consumer comes in, you kind of figure out what their needs are. From there, you take that RF kit, pair it with the actual module, whether it be a low current or high current system, and you're ready to go. And back in the day, you remember, Jaren, all those systems you had to buy, right? There was a 41, there was a 4806, 4706, and that was just in the remote start. And then you have the remote start and security, right? Or just a security. So very flexible.
The DS4, I think, has greatly increased the flexibility of stuff. Even like you said, just doing high current. We have a bunch of dealers that
we have a lot of people that
because you got one module to stock, and hey, if you have a low current vehicle, you can program those relays to do whatever else you want on the vehicle. You have relays built in. You're not adding external relays to do other things that you want in the vehicle. Turn on lights, do whatever you want in the vehicle. There's limitless possibilities.
A lot of people use them, turn on heated seats or rear defrost or things like that, and that's what makes it so nice with that with the Plus version that has all the relays on board. Because like you said, Jaren, I mean, you installed for a while, so quite a while, really, right? And just having it all built in that one box makes it so easy.
I challenge how many techs these days actually know how to wire a relay independently. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a lost art because everything's so built in, like you said. Now, you said a key word here, security, and then previously you're talking about how Clifford started in security, and recently in other sessions that we've done, the need or the popularity for security systems is on the rise.
Oh yeah.
Have you kind of seen that trend happening? And if so, what security add-ons are available from a Clifford standpoint?
Yeah, definitely. And we have seen it. Matter of fact, the last trip that myself, Aaron, and Joe took up to Canada, the hotels we stopped at, every single hotel, and these are nice hotels too, all had warning signs outside or up at the front counter that basically said, make sure you bring in all your valuables, because a lot of vehicles do get broken into. And it's a lot of smash and grabs really versus actual vehicles being stolen, but they are being stolen though too. So yeah, on the DS4 platform, we have as simple as a 8504D, which is our impact sensor, as well as a digital tilt sensor and the temperature sensor, all built in one tiny box. Okay, so that can be plugged into the DS4, and you can use horn honk out for that, for the audible warning. From there, we have what we call a DS4 SU, which has that same 8504D in the box, but it includes a siren. So in case you don't want to use horn honk out on it, you have a siren available for it. And then we also have the DS4WS, which is a Bluetooth siren. This siren makes it really nice because of the fact that everybody knows how tight engine compartments are nowadays and how hard it is sometimes to fish wires through the firewall. It's Bluetooth connected, okay? And it has inputs and outputs on it. You got a hood pin you can do through it. You can do virtual tach through it. You can turn on light bars with it. There's numerous things you can do. It also has the digital tilt sensor built in, the impact sensor, and then on top of it, it even has a voice module where you can record your own. Like
I was just going to bring that up because if memory serves me correct, Mr. Jaren, you had done a previous video demonstrating all the voice features with that Bluetooth siren. So
yeah, Jeff's truck still neighs when he unlocks it. We never changed it.
Awesome.
It's really cool, and it's once again customizable. You make that, that system for that consumer, right?
And so that's a full suite of additional add-ons that the dealer could either, preferably hold in stock, but could easily upgrade their customer from the get-go when it comes to security features. Very, very cool. All right. What else you got, Jaren?
What's new for smartphone offerings this year for Clifford in Canada?
Yeah, well, what's new is one system that we only made available until this year is what we call the DSM 550R. It's that same DSM 550 module that folks are used to, but the DSM 550R originally was only available in Ontario and Quebec, but now due to popular demand, we ended up making it available across all of Canada. Good part about it is this system works on the 4G LTE service on all Bell, Rogers, and Telus networks. It has two-way digital confirmation when hooked up to a DS4 or DS3 platform product, which will give you true two-way confirmation to include real-time status. It will show if your vehicle is locked, unlocked, if it's running, what run times are still available, and can even allow you to extend runtime. It has the ability to do GPS. And the way it works is, I'll just stop there talking about GPS. Everything that I mentioned up until GPS is with no annual service fee.
Wait, hold on. I need to clarify this. This is a physical add-on to your DS4 system to be able to achieve this?
Yes, it's our Smart Start is what it is.
Okay, so it's the Smart Start. If I add a Smart Start module right now to my DS4, which I happen to have a DS4, and I add it on right now, I now will be able to have, because I'm not in Ontario and Quebec, to be able to start my vehicle using my smartphone at no charge?
At no charge. Okay, as well as check the status of your vehicle. Let's say you didn't realize, hey, did I lock my car? Did I not lock it? Whatever. You can go in there and get the status of your vehicle. Once you do start your car, like you were talking about too, Ben, you can check, see how much runtime is still left. And let's say you're still tied up in the house, it's going to be a little while before you can get out, extend the runtime.
So unlimited start, two-way through my cell phone app.
Yep.
No charge above and beyond hardware and install.
Correct. Now,
that's amazing.
Now a lot of consumers like the ability to have GPS tracking of their vehicle.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So if they want GPS tracking, one-time $100 cost, okay, in U.S. funds, $100 will give you lifetime tracking as well as roadside assistance. And I'm not sure about what it costs in Canada, but in the U.S., if you want AAA, It's $89.95 for a year.
Yeah, it's more than that here, just so you know.
Yeah, I bet.
But hold on a second. Now, this is not breadcrumbs, right? This is just where is your vehicle?
Yes.
Well, the way it works, yes, it's not real-time breadcrumb tracking
Right.
like a fleet type of system.
Right.
But as many times as you ping it, you'll be able to see it. Right.
Amazing.
So if you want to see where it's at, yeah, it's not limited. Like it's going to say, oh, well, if you hit it now,
You have to wait 15 minutes before you check again. No, none of that. Anytime.
As long as you ping it, it will tell you where it's at.
And that's a one-time fee, no monthly charge.
You
Yes.
got it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's, and that now you can see
Does that follow the unit or does it follow the vehicle? I guess it follows the unit.
the unit itself. Yeah, it follows the unit. And
Technically, if you change it to, because the DS4 is a platform you can reflash, get another T-harness, you can actually change that up.
Put it on your new vehicle that you get or whatever, right? And that service still continues. The thing that's pretty cool about it, though, too, is that, originally, like I said, it was just in, Quebec and Ontario, right? But a lot of people heard about it, and everybody was, they were asking, "Hey,
well, yeah, everybody be jelly. Like, what about us? Hello."
So when we heard about it, we said, "Hey, let's just make it all across Canada."
That's amazing.
And we're selling a lot of them right now too.
And that's available right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Dealers, get on that. I have a feeling if you add that to a customer's list, they'll be very happy and impressed with that. No doubt about it.
I honestly, this is what I have in my personal vehicle is a DS4 with the Smart Start, and I think it's the best system out there. To be able, I can pull up the statuses that are unbelievable. Like it gives you fuel level, it gives you kilometers on the vehicle, it gives you cabin temperature if you pair it with the sensor on the DS4. So I can look. I've been looking in the summer here. I'm like, how hot is it in my car, or how cold is it in my car?
Now, wait, to be clear, you said you have to add the sensor to be able to do that.
No,
right?
it comes. So the DS4 comes with the temperature sensor on board.
Yep. Okay.
But you can add additional sensors as well on it.
I have a question, Al, on the sensors. So let's say I have a DS4 base, and now I'm like, you know what? I want to add some security features. You mentioned a couple of the available features. Do I now have to reflash my unit to accept those features, or is it simply plug in and would recognize that?
Well, you would plug in and recognize it, but then from there you would program it. We have a app called Direct Link app where you can go ahead and program the sensors for sensitivity. Like for the tilt sensor,
but the core firmware does not need to be updated to accept these security add-ons.
Correct.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. Very, very cool.
Yep.
So we talked about the new smartphone app, which I think is brilliant. We talked about security coming back, and you shared with us a couple of those options. In your opinion, Al, Clifford's been around a long time. It's a big name when it comes to this segment. What do you feel, if I had to put you on the table here, what is the biggest strength that Clifford has to offer?
Well, we kind of spoke about that up on the second question where we talked about the a la carte features and why, right? And I personally feel that the strongest feature is the flexibility of the system. And Jaren, you touched on that for a little bit though too, right? You have your main module. From there, you can go ahead and pick the control that consumer wants, right? So whatever the control is that they want, if they want a 1-button, right? If they want a 4-button 2-way LED unit, or if they want a 5-button LCD unit, whatever it is that they're looking for, we pretty much have. So you can give that customer what they actually want, as well as the smartphone control that we're talking about. From there, you can enhance the system by adding the security upgrade features that we have. And then we have what I kind of consider one of the strongest features of the system is the T-harness availability. We call it install. So like we were talking about backstage earlier, the amount of folks that are challenged having very experienced installers, right? The experienced installers can figure it out, right? They can go in and hardwire anything with no problem whatsoever. And by the way, our DS4 systems come with the wiring harnesses in the box, like a universal wire harness. So if say somebody wanted to do a hardwire install, they could do it. And but if they want that vehicle specific T-harness, we have those available too. So it's a complete platform that is very customizable and very flexible based on that vehicle you're working on and what the customer's needs are.
Amazing. How far we've come in this segment.
Yeah, amazing, right?
It's unbelievable. I remember way back in the day doing a Clifford system. I had an Intelli, I can't remember, IntelliSmart.
One of the IntelliGuard systems.
IntelliGuard, exactly. Oh my God, was I ever on the phone for a long time trying to get that?
Big boxes. You remember the big boxes?
There was like 5 different modules I had to put together to make work with the remote start and the sensors, and every sensor. Like you had an all-in-one sensor now available. Well, back then each sensor was a separate sensor.
Right.
You know, I mean, so much has
Well,
changed.
it's funny though, too, because the size of that 8504D sensor is, I mean, it's a very small box.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
small,
tiny.
right?
You're like,
yeah, it's funny that it does all that in there. I never forget the first time I was introduced to it. I looked at it and I'm like, so we have the impact sensor, which was the old 504D. We have the tilt sensor, which is a 507M, and we have a temperature sensor all in that box. And
no screwdriver under the dash to
no, not at all. It's all digital. Yeah, you remember that too.
You can actually bang the pillar and you know, how was that? No, go back under. Yeah. Anyway, good
Times
time.
have changed, and you know, once again, we try to with the Clifford brand and all our brands too, but with the Clifford brand too, you know, we try to make it great for the installer and great for the consumer, you know, the end user at the same time.
So,
yeah, like one of the things that Al touched on, the customizing and everything. It used to be so focused on, I've seen a trend of remote starters. You're one and done. Here's what your remote starter is. You do it right out of the gate or it doesn't change, right? Where it allows you to upgrade, which we're super used to doing in audio systems. Like you do speakers, you do amps, you do subs, and you upgrade. You have the possibility with the system to be able to do it. You can start off factory fob 3 times lock.
Then
I
add
add RF kit.
Yeah,
I add smartphone control. I add security. It is still best to do it one and done for install time.
Well, I still believe, and I will continue. You should still sell top down, Jaren, no matter what.
Yep.
Still sell top down, but there's always that option, right?
Yeah, that just reminds me too, Jaren. I will send you a form that I have that it's basically build your own system form is what we call it, right? Where you can, you know, your the stores that buy from you can sit with the consumer that comes in, give them this form and let them fill it out. Let them tell
what's important to you. What's important to you.
Exactly. Let them tell you what they want. You know, but I go to so many stores at times where I listen. You know, somebody comes in and says, "Yep, I'm looking for a remote start. Yep, $199. Here you go."
Yeah, like whoa. Why did you rush the sale? They're already in front of you. They obviously want a remote start, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
So, but I'll send that over to you, and then you can get it out to your customers that buy from you. It's great for them.
All right, Al. Thank you so much for coming in today. Shedding some light, some great news on the. I guess that's telematics or the long range remote.
You gotta get one in your car.
Yeah, I might have to look for an email from me afterwards. All right. Thank you so much, Al. Take care. All right, cool. Great start to the show, Jaren, covering Clifford and the DS4 platform. Now we're going to move to another popular choice. This is one that I hold dear because it is a Canadian product from Montreal, out of Fortin Electronics. They've been in the business quite a bit since Bypass kind of came out, I suppose. Yeah. And obviously that's kind of streamlined into a very simple yet all-inclusive kind of offering between the Evo All and the Evo One, which I think everybody's kind of familiar with. We had the chance to sit down with what we call Uncle JP to kind of give us the insight on what to expect, a couple new items to talk about moving into this season. What else do you want to add before we play the video?
Fortin's a hugely important brand. I know when I started out in the install bay, they were one of the first go-tos, all those different bypass modules for transponder and then into Evo Can and Evo All eventually. But we'll hear it from Uncle JP, as you call him.
All right, here we go. Let's go there. We'll talk about it when we get back. Here's Jean-Paul Raymond from Fortin. Mr. Raymond, always a pleasure to have you in studio and being a part of this Importel remote starter special.
It's always fun to be with you guys and being able to explore and talk about the Fortin product.
Well, that's why you're here, because like I was telling Jaren, we've got Uncle JP to ourselves, so we're going to pick his brain today. First thing first, rumor has it that there is a new update to the type of warranty and the coverage that you're offering on some of your products, and this is kind of like recent news. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, there is. In fact, the fall of 2021 we changed our warranty policy, and it is the following. It is very simple to follow. Module manufactured in 2020 and up have got a 4-year warranty on them. So Evo All, Evo 1, 4-year warranty. When it comes to remotes, if you're looking at a Series 3, which we'll talk about a little later, and Series 4, those are 1 year from date of manufacturing. And Series 9, our high-end series, which also we'll touch a little bit on, is 2 years warranty. T-harness have got limited lifetime as long as they're not modified, tampered with. If need be, and if somebody talks to tech support and tech support advises to modify a T-harness, they should ask for an RMA number right away. The tech support person at the other end of the phone will provide that. Once you have that in your hands, make sure that it follows the T-harness so that way we can track it and be able to support warranty on it.
Almost a good idea to kind of print out a label and just tape it right to that T-harness with that RMA number so it follows it through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good idea, Ben.
Very, very cool. What do you got for JP, Jaren?
So we're going a little bit on the technical side. I'm a pretty technical guy. I've done a couple of remote starts in my life. So me and JP were actually talking about the new 9 series and some of the cool features on it. And I want him to talk about Eco Connect on the 9 series remotes.
If you look at the 9 series, I mean, it is quite powerful. We quote 6,000 feet in urban condition. When we say urban condition, that is measured in Montreal in the actual city. We don't go in a farmer's cornfield and measure extreme range. We want it to be fair and honest. And since most people are probably going to be using this device in an urban condition, that's what we wanted to give for range. Now, one of the things is, of course, if you're going to be getting 6,000 feet of range, that's going to be hard on the battery. Well, the Eco Connect system only uses 40% of battery power on the first try, meaning that if you're doing some simple math, 6,000 feet, 40%, it probably has a reach of a couple thousand feet. And we're not draining the battery excessively because we're not using full power. Should it not reach it the first try, it'll go full range on a second try. And there's a way to tell whether it's reached on the first try or the long range try is if it reaches on the first time, you'll see your LED going out and you'll see it come back. If it hasn't reached, you'll see a successions of blue flashes on the LED, meaning that it's now gone to full power. So, and
that pretty much answers it, I think. I don't even have a question. It was so explained so well. Now, I'm curious. I do have one comment, though. You said that you test these in an urban setting. Does that mean to expect even better performance in, let's say, a rural setting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could go much further. We've tested these and have gotten stuff like double the range, 12,000 feet. But we don't want to publicize that because obviously that's not going to happen every time. We'd rather have consistency than, it's like peak watts to RMS, right? In the remote starter industry, I call it ILS with some companies. And that is if lightning strikes, you'll get that kind of range.
If lightning strikes. Now, you mentioned it earlier, so I want to circle back. Yep, I want to circle back to what JP was talking about. He was talking about the 3 series. Let's be specific. Let's tell us about the 3 series remotes.
3 series remotes. Our remotes, basically in the 9 series, we're using spread spectrum technology. And when in the 4 series, and we'll get to the 3 series, Ben, but in the 4 series, they are FM. And so is the 3 series. Now, the 3 series will only feature one remote. And it'll be a one-way 4-button. I'll try to bring this as close as I can. That will be this remote. And it'll be packaged with an Evo 1. Reason being that we wanted to have a package to offer that could actually compete with people that are doing an analog starter and a bypass. The advantage of doing this, really at the end of the day, is the fact that you'll save a lot of space under the dash. You'll have a much smaller package than when you're doing those 2 units. The number 2 advantage is you're going to consume a lot less current in the vehicle because all of a sudden, instead of having 2 power supplies to provide power to, we're only doing 1. And to keep in mind, our all-in-one Evo 1 is the lowest current consumption in the marketplace as far as an all-in-one is concerned. And number two, basically you'll also, or number three, I'm sorry, you'll have the ability to use T-harnesses when doing an install whenever they are available for the vehicle you're installing it. So 3 series remote FM, and we're quoting 2,000 feet of range in urban conditions. It will use this antenna, which is the same antenna as your Series 4. For those of you, and again, on antennas, we try to make them very small, very unobtrusive on the windshield so that people don't get distracted with them. This one will say a FM3 on it. So it is FM and it's part of the Series 3. That's how you'll be able to make the difference with the Series 4. Series 4 will only say FM. This one will have 3 engraved into it. So Evo 1 3641 is what this package is going to be called.
Very, very cool. Now, I have a question for you. Modules. Actually, you know what, Jaren, you're more well-versed in this. I'm going to sound like a rookie asking this question. Why don't you ask the question and sound like you know what you're talking about?
So Fortin has this thing with their modules where you can't update them on firmware after 5 years. We do get a little pushback. What's Fortin's reasoning behind doing this?
Here's what's happening. As time goes on, the CAN is modified inside vehicle. In fact, if you look at a 5-year-old vehicle now in comparison to one of today's vehicle, you'll see that a lot more functions are available on CAN. In order to do that, they had to increase CAN speed. Now, every time we change our module, there are different versions of modules out there, obviously. We try to cope with the speed of the new CAN system in the vehicle, or the increased speed, if you will. So the way we came to that conclusion was we would have people call in and say, I'm doing X vehicle and I'm experiencing this problem. Well, sure enough, we would try to locate that vehicle when vehicles were readily available. And we would bring it in, try it out, and couldn't replicate the problem for the life of us. So all of a sudden, it dawned on someone that we're always using new modules from production. So we started, when these problems would happen, we had 3 or 4 of those instances, and we started asking when the module was manufactured. And of course, at that point, it was an older module trying to be installed in a newer vehicle. And that's what would create the problem. So in order to avoid that, we said 5 years, and we'll stop being able to program the module. So we don't run, and you don't run by the same token, into problems. Now, we get phone calls here from time to time, people wanting to upgrade. What do they want to upgrade? They may want to add an RF kit. They may want to add telematics. Here's a word of advice to you. Just enable those, even though you're not going to be doing an RF kit or a telematics. 5, 6 years down the road, somebody comes in, they had a 3-lock start, they now want remotes. It's enabled. You won't have to reprogram anything, just plug it in. Does that make sense?
Definitely makes sense. And that's a good tip on the RF. Like, honestly, It doesn't hurt anything if you're doing a standalone to turn it on. It could end up saving you time, whether it be 2 months down the road or 6 years down the road, like you said. If you just got to come back, plug in an antenna, and out the door for the customer, program their remotes, then not have to hook it up to a flash link or your computer. Save some time, right?
And what are we talking about at the moment of installation to enable those features of extra time?
Clicks of buttons when you're flashing.
When you're flashing, it's a couple of clicks.
So then you may as well just do it all. Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's my suggestion to all installers.
All right. Well, before I let you go, I've saved the most heavyweight question for the NJP. Get ready for it. Why do you, Mr. Raymond, feel that Fortin's, or what is Fortin's biggest strength within the remote car starter industry?
Well, first of all, for those of you that don't necessarily know, we do everything in-house, whether it is our engineering, whether it is our production. We are the only starter company that produces product in Canada. In fact, the factory is just downstairs from where I sit. The advantage of that is that we have 100% quality control on our products. Every product's coming off our assembly line has been QC'd. In a lot of cases, what happens typically in the electronics industry with product that comes from overseas is that, let's say 1,000 pieces come in, they'll take probably 20 first serial number, 20 mid serial number, and 20 last serial number, test those out, and it's deemed that the remaining 940 out of that thousands are all good. So 6% QC as opposed to 100%. So that means what 100% is it never happens that you'll get a dead module upon arrival because it's been tested. And the other thing is, of course, speaking about testing, we can test an actual Canadian temperature because trust me, in Montreal, we get the extremes, whether it is a hot summer day or a very cold winter day. And everybody here at Fortin has got a remote starter in their own vehicle. So I guess you could say our parking lot is our own testing ground, as opposed to a temperature chamber, as it is the case sometimes with the offshore product.
I can attest to the fact that Montreal certainly has all 4 seasons in spring. But however, I'm sensitive to my Western Canadian friends. Nowhere are we taking the title away from you for being the snow center of Canada. Just
Snow center and cold center of Canada, right?
That's it for me. I think we covered it all, Jaren. I think we brought JP in to kind of clarify a couple key points that we want to make sure the dealers understand. And on that note, I want to thank JP for taking the time to come in to share with us all this great information about Fortin remote start systems.
It's always a pleasure, and it's nice to see Importel out west.
There we go. Take care, JP.
All right, you guys as well.
Bye.
I just want to reiterate something that JP said there that I think would strike a chord with many of our dealers, Jaren, and that is what he's talking about. The business that Fortin does locally, regionally, I suppose you could say, with their expediter business, actually being out there in the field, testing these units before they even get into a box, and even at the point of putting them into the box, that every single unit is QC'd. I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
Yeah, that's huge. And them actually manufacturing in-house it's crazy.
It's a little mind-blowing in today's industry standards, I suppose.
Yeah, it's definitely not the industry norm, but it works for Fortin, and they put out an amazing product.
I just before we move on to our next brand, I'd like to hear your takeaway from when I asked him what he feels the greatest strength is.
Definitely my takeaway, like you said, built in Canada, but tested, built, QC'd in Canada. And like their expediter business, Quebec's a heavily populated place. It's a big chunk of Canada's population for sure. And having that all tested in-house and QC'd, and they'd be the first ones to come across problems and be able to solve those problems quickly.
Very, very cool. For our final segment of today's show, we promised our listeners, our viewers, 3 different brands that we covered. Clifford with Al. We just finished with Jean-Paul Raymond from Fortin. Now I guess it's me and you. We're going to be talking about ADS and IDATASTART. Let's talk about IDATASTART. Where does this IDATASTART kind of fit into the mix of this selection?
It fits right into the mix with everything else. One of the superior brands, like we talked top 3 for sure. They're a juggernaut in the industry, just like our other 2 brands that we have. They have, people have watched CMA before, they have some amazing new products coming out, but they also have those tried, tested, true products that have been in the industry for years and is a staple and go-to for many installers, like the HCX brains, the HD1s, HD2s with the RF kits. There's just a huge amount of offering from ADS. I don't know how in depth you've gone into the line, but they have great solutions and a bunch of solutions that other dealers necessarily don't, or other vendors don't have. Like you're into the Mercedes and the BMW starters as well, which are a huge offering for dealers.
Here's what I'll say, and this will set you up for my next comment. I went away from 12-volt for a while. And when I came back, there was this monster in the room called ADS. And not only in starters, but as you know, also in RRs and Maestros. I mean, this is a company that found itself through technology, through programming, right? This is what it was founded on. No less another company from Montreal, which seems to kind of be a hot spot for this stuff. But especially in car starter, I mean, really even directed, right, was from Montreal as well. So it's kind of the place where everything was happening. It's like this, let's call it the Silicon Valley of remote start. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Pretty sure. What the point I'm trying to make is, they were probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first company to kind of move forward on the whole concept of flashing a single modular device. Instead of having different applications for or different modules for different applications, they were like, no, we're going to come up with one piece of hardware that you can program for the application that you're installing into. And I think that speaks a lot to the foresight the company has. And what I've noticed in speaking with installers and other distributors of this brand, there's certainly a sense of a following, a loyalty to ADS products. But not only that, ADS has a certain style, a certain flavor to it, and I'd like for you to speak to that if I'm hitting the marker here with that.
Yeah, they definitely have a certain style, certain flavor. They were very targeted initially when I started installing. We talk about Fortin and all the different bypasses they have. ADS had ADS-TB and ADS-LCA, which are both still around. One's for transponder bypass, one's for vehicle bypass that does your CAN integration on everything. And we still sell a bunch of those modules. Like, it's still a very popular module to go with analog remote starts. Like Al touched on it, that we were talking before the show that analog has kind of gone away, but there's still lots of analog being
Man, it did ever save our butt a year ago.
Right? Yeah, we have completely turned the table from last year. Last year it was like, we need analog and we need key in a box, because that's the only way we're going to have no bypass guys. Learn how to do key in the box. And this year it's definitely flipped. The inventory is better this year, certainly, than the gloom and doom we were talking about last year. But there's still use for the ADS LCAs, for the TBs, and then the culture of the all-in-one solution. They were one of the first to do the all-in-one solution, and it's still around. They've made tweaks on it. We saw the new updates in the ADS CMA that they did earlier.
I mean, the first clone, now the hub. I mean, this is a key piece of technology moving forward for those guys that like ADS and the IDATASTART when it comes to replicating the key.
Yeah, like that, the hub is going to be the next generation for sure. And it's completely flipped how we've been doing stuff. It's going to be huge in the industry to be able to copy RFs. We were always copying I'll get a little techie, the passive on keys. So the low passive, so you're holding the key up to the key port to be able to copy it. We're copying that information and we're starting the car that way. To be able to switch it and do the RF on the vehicle is going to be huge, because it's going to replicate how your key is thinking, right? That's how you start the car. I've run into problems before. I'm sure lots of installers have run into problems before. I think they touched on it a bit in the CMA, where there's a possibility for a vehicle not to be PDI properly, and they don't code that part of the key to the vehicle, and you go to start holding the button up, which is really bad for a consumer, I want to say. But for installers, it was like, hey, we can't program this vehicle. You got to take it back to the dealership. Or I've even run into cases where the factory key has been broken and it doesn't pick up that chip, and you're going to program the vehicle and it's like, hey, it doesn't pick it up.
$500 key.
Yeah, but the customer would never notice because they're using the RF. So copying that RF with that hub is going to be huge. It's going to
no physical change, no invasive type of anything. It's just slide her in. Pretty cool. And you guys will have that available as well, of course.
Yeah, once it's released, we'll have it available. I know they kind of showing the new products for the season. We don't have concrete release dates, but they are all coming, and as soon as they're in, we will have them for the dealers.
Amazing. I'm going to ask you the same question we asked the other brands. In your opinion, Jaren, what are some of what is the greatest strength that IDATASTART has to offer in all things remote start?
Yeah, I think you definitely touched on it a little bit, but their offerings and their firmwares, I think, as an installer, when ADS does a firmware, it's done. It's tested, true. You know that firmware is going to work. If they release it for that vehicle, it's working. You're not putting it in and being like, it kind of works.
They've kind of built that a solid reputation when it comes to firmware releases. I have to agree.
Yes, when ADS releases a firmware, it's proper firmware.
Pretty rock solid.
It's
Yeah.
a rock
and
solid
that's across the board. Again, not just an IDATASTART, but even Maestro or RR.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
you program it.
steering wheel controls, across
They
the
work.
board. Their pride on
I mean,
doing
perfect.
it.
I don't want people to think I'm saying they're perfect. Nobody's perfect. There are always little glitches here and there, but they take care of it. And really, the vast majority of the ones that I've seen that I've heard of from installers, pretty solid. Therefore, building up the reputation to have that rock solid firmware, reliability as you're referring to. Okay. I think we covered the 3 brands. Let's talk about why we're here, and that is Importel. Let's go ahead and bring up this little slideshow that we brought up. I want Jaren to speak to us. It's still kind of fresh. I know it might not be so fresh for you because you're living it every day. But for many dealers, they may or may not be hearing about this for the first time. But Importel's expanded, man. Importel is now in the East and the West. I'm going to let you take it away from here, Jaren.
So we've definitely expanded, reached cross country now. We're going to be the go-to place for remote starters this year. We got the 3 big brands, as you can see on the screen: IDATALink, IDATASTART. Pretty much the same thing, we all know. But we got the 3 big brands out there. We're ready to support our dealers. We're ready to get them product in their stores to look after those customers. And that's what we really want to push out there, is that we have stock and it's ready to go.
Beauty. Something that's nice to hear.
So one of the huge benefits to Importel coming out west is the ability and shipping times, right? Lots of dealers want that product as soon as possible. They book their jobs ready to go. So now having both the East and the West warehouse that you can see that are kind of centrally located to each side of the country, as you want to speak to it, expedite shipping times. We're almost a day or 2 to anywhere in Canada now, which is a huge thing for dealers. And we're going to have stock in both West warehouse, East warehouse. It's going to be shared, all the brands across, and we will be ready to ship product to you guys, which I think is a huge thing for us.
Quite the footprint.
Yes, quite the footprint, for sure. We want to touch about Importel's website for sure. Well, not touch on it. Importel's website is awesome. When I was still a BB employee, that was one of the things that we heard about Importel all the time. Why isn't your website as good as their website?
I'm not going to lie. It's unique in the Canadian landscape anyhow, as far as websites go, I would say, with the ease of use and the inventory and the ordering and everything from a B2B perspective is quite all encompassing.
Yeah, for B2B, like, all our products are on there, great descriptions, pictures of the product, the ability to have a cart and just fill the cart. We have lots of dealers that will fill the cart over the week. Hey, Friday, all my jobs are booked for next week. Submit the cart Friday and get the goods shipped to you. So it's a great website.
I'm going to add something here. I've talked to a couple shops. This having an interface like this. What shops have done before, you used to go to your text and say, hey, can you write down the list of what I need to order this week? Now it's go put it in the system when you need it. I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me why didn't we order it. It's right there.
Yeah, and it's very true. Like, you always forget the stuff that you need,
and then it delays a job.
And then people in the shop who's in charge of just put it in the cart. Once we hit a prepaid order, we'll order it.
Exactly.
Right. You can see if it's in stock, add it to the cart. You're good to go for sure.
Shout out to my man Alex McNeil for that website.
Yes, Alex is awesome. He does a great job with that website. And then we definitely want to talk about the Importel team. The Importel West team is definitely more relatively new on the block, but we got experience for sure. But the East team has so much experience within the industry. They know the Canadian market. The team there has been around the 12-volt industry for a long time. They know the market. Our team here is more young, but we need to inject some youth into the market a bit. We got Jeff here, myself, that is a pretty technical guy. If you have any questions, I can definitely help. And then Josh and Ian on our order desk or clients 12-volt specialist team to answer your questions and help out in any way necessary.
It's quite the all-star team, I might say. Quite the all-star.
We've added some great people.
Yeah, that's, I mean, everything from a planning to product to web to, and you didn't even put Alex McNeil in there. But anyhow, there's a whole other, I mean, you probably could go on. There's a lot of behind the scenes people too that you know, dealers might not necessarily be speaking to directly on a regular, but these would be the ones that, you know, certainly are
these would be the ones that you're speaking to on a pretty regular basis. Don't subtract anything from our back end team that does probably most of the work out there for us.
My God, I just realized Frank Pellegrino, 30 years. That's crazy. I've known Frank for a long time as well. Wow, cool. Very cool. All right, so that's it. Those are a lot of the reasons why you should certainly consider Importel this remote car starter season. Let's wrap it up. So takeaway from Clifford, obviously the DS4 platform is a go-to. Awesome upgradability path with the different modules for security. And I don't know, for me, the big takeaway was that new cellular service, which is, I'll say it again, free to use.
Yes.
That's crazy.
No,
that's pretty.
And no one wants to pay subscription charges anymore. They have so many of them. So if
Between
you can check one off the box.
And Amazon Prime, like there's so many. Like I'm so tired of seeing these recurring bills. I don't want to see another one. So that's an awesome thing in my opinion. When it comes to Fortin, obviously very simple solution. Tons of, you know, T harnesses with a lot of applications, always on the go. And if you're looking to support a company that is local, homebred, that tests every product and literally goes to market with their own expediter team to actually put this stuff into new vehicles, like I'm talking brand new vehicles. So yeah, you know it's going to work. I think Fortin is a go-to.
Yes, for sure.
And finally, IDATASTART, technological center, on point when it comes to firmware updates, has a certain je ne sais quoi style about it. If you're into that stuff, which I know a lot of you guys out there are, I don't blame you for it. I've used the products myself. I mean, that stuff works. It's great. Again, all three fantastic choices. The most important part is it's all under one roof, and that's what's important. So I'm going to ask you the question. Now that we've gone through all this, Jaren, in your words, why do dealers need to contact Importel when it comes to the remote starter needs?
In my own words, we have the big three offerings out there for the dealers. So if you're curious about another brand, or you've been with one brand for quite a while and curious about a different one, we have the offerings for you. Check out our website. You'll see them on there. Contact our team. Talk to us about the different options. Contact myself. I've installed them all, hundreds of all of them. And I know the ins and outs in them. If you want some technical info, you can certainly call me or call Ramesh. He's a pretty technical guy as well. We got a team here that's ready to service you in any needs.
All right. Well, let's get the people the right information. Let's starting with Clifford. To get all the latest on Clifford, you want to check out clifford.com. That's their official website. Of course, it is, of course, a directed company. Importel sells Clifford. Now, when it comes to Fortin, check that out. Fortin.ca is the website. I like that, Canadian-based, .ca. All the latest applications and T-harnesses and everything else on Fortin.ca. And last but not least, IDATASTART, who dropped some bombs earlier on. Brand new hub, brand new applications, changing the game once again, IDATASTART.com. But most importantly, it doesn't matter which one you like or which one you want to order, it's one place. Importel.com. Check out the website. Everything's there. And again, like Jaren had mentioned, if you want some information, go ahead and give Mr. Hjelmeland a call, or maybe Mr. Ramesh. Either way, you're going to get your answers. That's it. That was a good one. I think mission accomplished, Mr. Hjelmeland. I think we got it done.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Message is loud and clear, and anytime, 12-volt Viking, anytime. All right, that was Jaren, and all talking about Importel. Hope you got the gist of that show. It was all about the fact that, well, Importel has got you covered this remote car season with Clifford, with Fortin, and even with IDATASTART. Keep on locked here on CMA Networks. If you like remote start and telematics, you found the right place. We are going through every brand one day at a time right through till September 15th. All the big brands when it comes to remote start and telematics. Now, if you're excited about install, then you should definitely be excited about what I'm about to tell you next. Head over to cmanetworks.com/giveaway because we are giving away an all-inclusive trip for both an American and a Canadian installer to visit the 2023 MasterTech Expo in Mesa, Arizona, in collaboration with 5-Axis Innovations and SiriusXM. It's the biggest contest we've ever done, and it's free to enter. cmanetworks.com/giveaway. Now, while you're there, of course, please take the time and peruse through our library of videos in every category, especially in remote start and telematics. Search by your favorite brand or even by your favorite trainer. That's it for this CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about today's the day where I'm gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?